China and Russia have consistently stood by us. We deeply value this friendship. This was new Iranian President-elect Masoud Pezeshkian's message to what he called the New World, a message that outlines Tehran's foreign policy under the new reformist-led government, a policy which is likely to ruffle a few feathers in the United States, which could see the Islamic Republic's eastward push as a threat to its future in the region. In a statement published in an Iranian daily, after assuming office earlier this month, following snap elections held just weeks after President Ibrahim Raisi and other top officials died in a helicopter crash, Pezeshkian had a message of friendship for both Russia and China. With regards to China, the 69-year-old doctor-turned-politician wrote, "And we look forward to collaborating more extensively with Beijing as we advance towards a new global order. In 2023, China played a pivotal role in facilitating the normalization of our relations with Saudi Arabia, showcasing its constructive vision and forward-thinking approach to international affairs." For Russia, Pezeshkian had this message: "Russia is a valued strategic ally and neighbor to Iran, and my administration will remain committed to expanding and enhancing our cooperation. We strive for peace for the people of Russia and Ukraine, and my government will stand prepared to actively support initiatives aimed at achieving this objective. I will continue to prioritize bilateral and multilateral cooperation with Russia, particularly within frameworks such as BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and Eurasia Economic Union." Expecting such a stance from Pezeshkian, Russian President Vladimir Putin on July 11 said he hoped to develop ties with Iran under the new president.
Хочу выразить надежду и не сомневаюсь в том, что развитие отношений между Ираном и Российской Федерацией будут развиваться так же поступательно, как это было при господине Раиси, гибели которого мы все сожалеем и скорбим.
In response, Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said the Russia-Iran alliance will stop West's unilateralism.
این هماهنگی و این همکاری سرنوشت منطقه رو، اقتصاد رو، همینطور که امروز اشاره کردید، این یک جانبه گرایی غرب رو حتما انشالله متوقفش میکنه.
Pezeshkian, a relative moderate who beat a hardline rival in the election, lambasted the United States for pitting regional countries against each other and warned that Iran will not respond to pressure by Washington. This warning was with regards to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iran Nuclear Deal, an agreement former US President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew from in 2018. The deal tightly restricted Iran's nuclear ambitions for a decade or more in return for ending the sanctions that had crippled its economy. The new Iranian president wrote, "We entered the JCPOA in 2015 in good faith and fully met our obligations, but the United States unlawfully withdrew from the agreement motivated by purely domestic quarrels and vengeance, inflicting hundreds of billions of dollars in damage to our economy and causing untold suffering, death and destruction on the Iranian people, particularly during the COVID pandemic, through the imposition of extraterritorial unilateral sanctions." Pezeshkian also lashed out at Washington for waging an economic war on the Middle Eastern country by imposing several sanctions and engaging in state terrorism by assassinating top Iranian military general Qasem Soleimani in an airstrike in 2020. In his letter, Pezeshkian wrote, "I wish to emphasize that Iran's defense doctrine does not include nuclear weapons and urge the United States to learn from past miscalculations and adjust its policy accordingly." In his strongly worded letter, Pezeshkian also asked the US to come to terms with this reality and avoid exacerbating current tensions. Accusing Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians, Pezeshkian wrote, in 1979, following the revolution, the newly established Islamic Republic of Iran, motivated by respect for international law and fundamental human rights, severed ties with two apartheid regimes, Israel and South Africa, Israel remains an apartheid regime to this day, now adding genocide to a record already marred by occupation, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, settlement building, nuclear weapons possession, illegal annexation, and aggression against its neighbors. The criticism came in the backdrop of Israel's months-long war on Gaza, which has killed about 38,000 people in the besieged territory, mostly women and children, as per data provided by the Gaza Health Ministry. The Israeli assault took place after Palestinian armed group Al-Qassam brigades attacked southern Israel, leaving 1,139 dead and some 240 taken hostage. Apart from bashing the US and forging stronger ties with America's rivals China and Russia, Pezeshkian also touched on the global landscape that has evolved beyond traditional dynamics, vowing that his government would be dedicated to building mutually beneficial relationships with the global South, particularly African nations. He further emphasized that relationships with Latin America, despite being well established, will be further strengthened to promote development, discussion, and collaboration. In the case of Europe, Pezeshkian noted, their relationship had many ups and downs, referring to the US departure from the Iran nuclear deal and the subsequent broken promises made by European nations to help Iran's economy and offset the impact of US sanctions on the nation. Despite such actions, Pezeshkian affirmed he was looking forward to engaging in constructive dialogue with European countries to set our relations on the right path. Based on principles of mutual respect and equal footing, European countries should realize that Iranians are a proud people whose rights and dignity can no longer be overlooked. There are numerous areas of cooperation that Iran and Europe can explore once European powers come to terms with this reality and set aside self-arrogated moral supremacy coupled with manufactured crises that have plagued our relations for so long. Opportunities for an Iran-European collaboration, Pezeshkian said, include economic and technological cooperation, energy security, transit routes, environment, as well as combating terrorism and drug trafficking, refugee crises and other fields, all of which, he proposes, could be pursued for the benefit of their nations. However, Europe should, Pezeshkian said, note that Iranians are proud people whose rights and dignity can no longer be overlooked. Pezeshkian is supported by Iran's reformist factions and its leaders, including former President Mohammad Khatami, the former Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif, and others. Hence, the former heart surgeon was expected by observers to initiate better relations with the West while taking a more moderate tone with Washington. While the new president-elect isn't expected to endorse a death to America policy, his letter to the New World signals that he won't step too far away from his predecessor's strategy, which was to pursue stronger ties with China, Russia, and the whole of Asia while challenging the US-led world order. Just as his US counterpart, President Joe Biden, whose policies haven't been very different compared to his predecessor Donald Trump, so far as Iran is concerned,